The Origin of Species. I wrote that. My name is Charlie Darwin. I'm a scientist, and one day everything about the world just made sense to me. It started with the Big Bang. Now, I could give you a fancy, long, and confusing definition, but I won't. 0 plus 0 equals 1. It is essentially the same as saying nothing and nothing makes something. Since I'm a scientist, I can tell you that all of this is true because I was there. I'm a scientist. Don't question me. I know what I'm talking about because a bunch of people say I study science. So one time, nothing formed with nothing to make something that exploded from energy that was in the right place at the right time. That's possible. Remember, I'm a scientist, so believe everything I say. Shh, I was there. This is what a real scientist looks like. A real scientist is only 2 years of med school as their only science education before dropping out. A real scientist rarely passes any courses. A real scientist is known to commonly get drunk at the bar with their friends. A real scientist gets so sick of working for their dad that they do anything they can to get out of it. Put all that together and you get yourself a Charlie Darwin, a real scientist. There are some things we can't explain, like the Big Bang only producing elements up to atomic mass 15 by combinations and making compounds and such, and where the other elements all came from. It's like all the elements just evolved from each other. You know, it's amazing what being a scientist justifies. We'll figure it out later. Scientists know that life sporadically forms. It's amazing what being a scientist can convince people of. Remember this when the Big Bang happened? When everything exploded out with this much force? It's amazing how there was enough gravity for stars to form even while everything was shooting outwards so violently powerfully. There was enough gravity in that tiny little spot for stars to form, at least somewhere else. Amazing what science does. We tell skeptics it's a gap in the theory. I love being a scientist. You learn so much. So much, I tell you. You learn so much from being a scientist. If you're a scientist, you know everything about the world. Now listen. You're getting very, very sleepy. Believe everything I say. What? Go back to studying, you fool. You saw nothing. Science can even overrule what we know about DNA. DNA is like a padlock for species. It's instructions for how everything is made, and those instructions are locked tight. But since I'm a scientist, I ignore DNA and DNA doesn't work. This is what we call that for now. My theory is amazing because I was there for millions of years and watched everything evolve. Evolution and natural selection means that one thing is better than another, and a lot of smart people understand this. Remember kids, you should always keep evolving. I'm a scientist, I know what I'm talking about. Follow me in evolution because I'm smart and I'm a scientist.